Hello and welcome to the next NAP. My name is Irina Ryshkova and I'm your nonprofit auditor. NAP stands for Nonprofit Auditor Points. And I designed these NAPs just to give some useful information to nonprofit organizations. My next few NAPs will be about board members' duties and responsibility. I do find that it's very critical for the success of any board to be governed by the good board. And there is very little information and education about the board responsibilities and duties. So I want to take upon myself to give you some information about what main board duties are. And the main board duty is duty of care. And this NAP will be about duty of care by the board of directors. First of all, why it matters. Duty of care, it's not just a legal phrase, even though it sounds legal. But what it means, it's a practical commitment for every board member to show up, pay attention, and act in a good faith. It means that the board member cannot just become a board member and be inactive, miss meetings, and just be driven by some agendas and not truly by the organization mission. So once again, let's define what is duty of care. So each board member, individually responsible for exercising duty of care. It means that each board member have to act in good faith with the care of ordinary and prudent person in the matter that this person is believed, and it's very important, for the best interest of the organization. And I want to stop right here one more time, for the best interest of the organization. Even if the personal feelings of the board members are affected, the personal beliefs of the board members affected, it's a duty of the board member to act in the best interest of the organization. So what it means, when the person becomes a board member, it's a huge privilege, but it's also responsibility. And your role as a board member needs to be taken seriously. Each board member needs to do their homework and act thoughtfully, meaning you need to exercise critical thinking, consider every decision as you would be your own interests becomes the organization's interests. Where duty of care comes from? Duty of care is rooted in non-profit corporate law. So it's a law. It's not because somebody said you need to exercise duty of care or somebody forces you. It's actually acting law. And it's reinforced by the Internal Revenue Services. IRS is actually saying you need to follow that law. Also, all the watchdogs organizations, and it's a main part of the fiduciary responsibility. If you're part of the nonprofit world, you most likely heard that each board member is fiduciary responsible. That means that each board member needs to exercise duty of care. Because board of directors, it's called governing board. Each board member collectively participate in decision making that can either harm nonprofit or make it prosper. So each board member needs to remember that they need to act with the duty of care. When we're taking care of children or elderly, we're exercising our care. So that the same type of care we need to exercise when we are a board member. So as I mentioned before, how you can practice actual duty of care. So each board member can practice by starting preparing for the meeting. So not just come to the meeting, but prepare for the meeting, meaning read board packet. I do understand that a lot of young people who have jobs and young families and busy life cannot be good board members because they don't have enough time. So every board member, before becoming a board member, need to consider, can they exercise duty of care, which include prepare for the meeting. Another once you attend the meeting, absolutely needs to be critical. And the third, ask questions. My personal experience, participating in many boards, I do see that the people, board members, do not ask questions. And I do know very often they don't understand what we're talking about, but they either intimidated, afraid to be misunderstood by colleagues, and they do not ask questions. Asking questions, even the hard ones, is, I would say, especially hard ones, absolutely necessary for the success of the organization and for exercising your duty of care. There is nothing wrong not to understand the mission or operation or number, whatever area board is discussing. Your job is to ask questions. I, as an auditor, have been contacted by many board members who is asking, can I ask this question? Can I ask this question? Is it my am I privileged to ask financials? Can I ask to see this? This is your job and duty. It's a part of duty of care. Then board members do need to understand financials. You don't need to be an expert, but you do need to understand them and spend maybe time and questions to understand the bottom line, the main areas of financials. And also board members need to participate in strategic decisions. Pretty much board members need to become invested in your nonprofit where you are part of governing body. I want to give you examples when nonprofit board member neglecting duty of care, which are real, true example, real life examples. Nonprofit approved major 500,000 expansion without asking how that will be funded. And executive director assumed that donation will come, but they didn't, and nonprofit almost closed. Therefore, if board has an idea of expanding, then the idea needs to be discussed, understood, analyzed from every aspect, from operations, from financials, from execution part, make sure that everybody are on the same page. Another example, treasurer of the organization missed in a row 18 months of the meetings. 18 months. As a result, the treasurer became very disassociated with the organization and was stealing. And fraud continued for extended period of time. Another example, board approved all proposals without discussions. And when the board members had questions, they were just simply shut down. So all of these are very, very scary practices. And every nonprofit, one way or another, might be affected by board members who are not acting with the duty of care. And board members need to understand that's very, very critical that every board member exercise duty of care. What good board member should do? The board member who exercises duty of care. Number one, prepare for the meetings, attend meetings consistently, read materials. If there is a loan application or anything that discussed during the board meeting, please read. Ask questions respectfully. Understand the organization's programs, risks, and financials. Even though it's a nonprofit and it's mission driven, which is beautiful, financial parts are very critical because at the end of the day, if there is not finances, nonprofit cannot realize its mission. Participate in the meeting. Stay informed between the meetings. Do not shy away from asking questions. Remember, your vote matters. What good member should not do under any circumstances? Miss several meetings in a row or show up unprepared. Approve items without reading them. Stay silent when you don't understand what we're discussing. Board. Assuming everybody knows and I just want to be a good team player, so I'm gonna vote. I'm just a volunteer, so I'm really just here to participate. Or delegate all oversights to executive director. Sometimes nonprofits have a very strong, educated, knowledgeable executive director. And you're lucky one if your nonprofit where you're on a board has such a director. But the role of executive director is absolutely different from the role of board. It's great that you have a strong executive director that needs to do ED job, your job as a board member to do your work and oversight overall mission of the organization and oversight ED. There are some red flags that I already mentioned that every nonprofit from time to time might have, that you as a board member needs to be concerned and pay attention to. If the meetings are short and rushed, if the meetings typically recorded via Zoom and all of a sudden president is indicating we're not going to record this meeting and we're not going to document minutes, financial reports are never reviewed during the board of directors meetings, requests of the board members are always ignored. No one asks any questions. Everybody talks about the sport, family events. It becomes like a social event, but the unpleasant business questions not discussed and not asked. Board attendance is very spotty. Board start losing members, and board has difficulties to engage in new board members. And board very rarely evaluates performance or risks. All of these red flags cannot be ignored. That's a not good functioning board. How to apply duty of care to finances. As we mentioned, the main goal of nonprofit to provide mission, but the mission cannot be accomplished without robust basis of financials. Therefore, board member absolutely have to pay. One of the most important areas is financials. And it starts with understanding the structure, where the money come from, who is our main funders. Is it government? Is it foundation? Is it subscriptions? Is it special events? So where our main effort needs to be located, or maybe we need to diversify our revenue streams. It's all board decisions. Then board needs to participate and understand budget. So once you understand your income streams, then now you can budget where from which income stream, how much money you would expect, and then in the budget also you will consider how you're going to spend money. Also, great idea for the board to understand financials. It look variances between years. You can look compared to last year. You can look compare 3 years, 4 years trend, 5 years trend. When we're presenting our financials, I'm trying to present to the board presentation of 5 years so they can see the trend. They can see where they grow or don't grow. And understand also not only where the revenue streams coming, but how much cash will organization have. Because nonprofit might have a $5 million grant, but it will come 1 million each year. So it's a multi-year grant. So nonprofit cannot budget 5 million expenses in a year one. Also, board needs to, the job of board is to have a strategic planning to see if the nonprofit needs to expand, or maybe nonprofits need to close some locations that are bleeding, that are actually producing losses every year and taking money away from productive parts. That's a job of the board, and nonprofit needs to make that decision. We all know it's hard. A lot of time program activities, locations are very dear to our heart, but if they do not meeting financial expectations, they need to be discontinued, especially if it happens year after year after year. If organization feels that there is some areas of duty of care inside the board members that they not follow, and the people not coming to the meeting, they're not prepared, maybe lack of leadership from the board, maybe the questions are not asked. There needs to be urgent meeting, and the board needs to have an honest conversation where every view is heard and it needs to be documented. And ideally, I find useful if the board take a training or have some retreat where they have a consultant that come on site and explains what the duties of the each board members, what they do, what they should do and should not do. And lastly, you need to remember, you don't need to be perfect. Nobody expecting every board member to be perfect. However, it's critical to understand your duty of care, try to follow the duty of care, and if for whatever reason duty of care is not met, or you feeling like something is not right, invite consultants. Treat your board. Make sure that your board members understand the behaviors is kind of aligned with the duty of care, and you continue supporting your nonprofits. Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully you will find this presentation useful. Please share with your board members and maybe other nonprofits who will find this useful. Thank you, be safe, and have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.